Greetings, YouTube. I've been a fan of the Daredevil character from Marvel Comics for decades. I can remember back when Daredevil had a costume that was two colors, as opposed to the classic red costume. And Frank Miller's work on Daredevil was a masterpiece. It was at the height of Miller's craft. It was before he began to descend into self-delusional state where he believes his own hype. Um, and I even like Daredevil, the Dark Knight Part 2. But his work on Daredevil really cemented in my mind what a powerful character Daredevil was. The idea that he was a local boy made good. He was the protector of Hell's Kitchen. That even though it was a comic book, it had a sense of the personal that was very reminiscent of the early Spider-Man books, when it was friendly neighborhood Spider-Man meant something. So when they announced a Daredevil movie, I kind of looked forward to it. I liked the character. And Ben Affleck had done some decent work. I loved him in the Silent Bob series of, Jay and Silent Bob series of movies with Kevin Smith. And later I loved him in Smoking Aces. But the theatrical release of Daredevil left something to be desired. It was choppy. It had some plot holes. Didn't flow well. And it was overall, it was a disappointment. I saw it once in the theaters and I never saw it again. And eventually when the DVD was released, I heard that the director's cut was superior. And I kept thinking, okay, I'll get around to seeing the director's cut. But I didn't for years. And a couple weeks ago, I found a copy of the director's cut. It finally occurred to me, ding, I should probably look for a copy of that on Amazon for a total of 39 cents. So even with shipping, it was less than $4. So for a less than $4 investment, I figured that I couldn't go wrong. So I got myself a copy, and it came in the mail this week. And last night, my wife and I watched it. And this has a commentary track, which I did not watch yet. I wanted to see the director's cut in its entirety on its own to see how I liked it. And frankly, I think it was a far superior rendition of this film. It was more consistent. It had a better flow. Overall, it just made more sense. It had a dramatic undertone that I think the theatrical film lacked in an attempt to be more viewer-friendly or doing a broader audience. So overall, I thought it was a much superior version of the film. Now, that being said, I still have some problems with it. Now, I like Jennifer Garner. I think that she did some wonderful work in Juno. I think she was perfect in that film. But frankly, I don't think she did well in this. Now, I haven't seen Elektra yet. I own a copy. I picked up a copy at Goodwill for $3. And I plan on watching it in the near future. But I wanted to see the Daredevil theatrical release first before I went to watch Elektra. And I don't expect much from Elektra. But I still wanted to get her character fresh in my mind before I watched it. But I just didn't think she was very good in this film. And the actor who played Fisk, Michael Clark Duncan, he's a great actor. He was great in Green Mile. He was just wonderful. I loved it. He was great in Sin City. But he's not Kingpin. It's not that he's black. It's that he's not a sumo wrestler. Because in the comic, Kingpin is a master of the martial art of sumo. And sumo is an actual martial art. And Fisk is a mountain of flesh and muscle. He is supposed to be towering, not just in height, but in girth. He is supposed to be this veritable wall of human that intimidates you just by being in the same room with you sitting down. And when he stands up, you crap your pants. And I just didn't get that impression. Yes, this actor is impressive looking. He is big. But I didn't get that power that the comic book, which is a static media, is able to convey to me. And I think it should have been conveyed in the film, and for me, it wasn't. So I had a problem with that. Colin Farrell was nuts. He played the character of Bullseye as a deranged madman. It was like he was trying to channel the Joker, and frankly, he failed, particularly since I've seen uh, the actual version of the Joker done in the last Batman movie to such a degree of perfection that no one's ever going to be able to touch it again. I mean, the guy walks around with a giant bullseye carved into his forehead. He's supposed to be a hired gun. That's just absurd. And he's like, you know, running around in this full-length leather coat, throwing paper clips at people. I don't know. I had a problem with the character. I think he was playing it a little broadly. Now, having said that, my wife made a really cogent point during this viewing. She looked at me and said, "They did this better in Sin City," and she got it. In one comment, she nailed the reason this film fails for me, because it doesn't go far enough into the world of comic books. Iron Man, Spider-Man, the second Hulk, Sin City, all of them took you out of our reality and stepped into the world of comic books that is based on our reality. And this movie never did that. It was our world with superheroes. And that doesn't work. Superheroes aren't real. Superheroes don't exist. And that small conceptual leap that was made in those other films I mentioned wasn't made here. So I could never shake myself of the feeling that I was watching someone pretending to be a superhero. As opposed to in Iron Man or in Spider-Man, I was watching a superhero on the screen. So I think as far as a superhero film goes, Daredevil fails. Now, as an overall action film, I think the director's cut is a great ride. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I'll watch it again with the commentary track to see what the people have to say about the production that was being done while it was made. I find that kind of thing interesting, and I think it's a far superior version to the theatrical release. But it came so close. It could have been something as great as Iron Man or the reimagining of the Hulk that Ed Norton did so well. So it's a good movie. It's just not a great superhero movie.